This is one of my favorite Joe stories.
Oh, okay.
Because this is how I know the guy is like as this guy.
Yeah.
His first ice bath was almost at a minute, and he live streamed it.
Oh.
And he tapped out because he was like, "This is insane."
Yeah.
And then Joe's fans are like dirty in the comments,
right?
And they're like, "Conquer your inner bitch" or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
You be the lead hero in your own character story or whatever. Stay hard, motherfucker. Keep hammering, Joe. Why are you hammering?
Yeah.
So Joe's brain switches over and he goes, "That does it. I'll show them." And he got into the polar plunge for 20 minutes.
Right. Brutal, dude.
He was
brutal.
He looked like the dude from the Titanic. He started going underwater and there was a table on top and Rose was going, "Don't go, Jack." It was crazy. I think he changed his inner core temperature to like 3 degrees.
Probably.
But that's his brain is like,
yeah,
bro. And it's in our business, it's a great guy to get advice from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember him pulling me aside in the back of this store, and I was just lost. I was doing clubs, but I wasn't doing theaters, and I was doing okay, but I didn't have a special that anyone watched. I had good stuff on the internet, and he was like, "You need to get a Netflix special," and I was like, "Okay." That's typical Joe. Like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
Cool, thanks, man.
Yeah.
What do I do? And he was like, "You just need to be undeniable." And I was like, "Do you realize how fucking vague that is?"
That's the title of my new book.
For real?
Undeniable.
Dude, I wrote it in my joke book, because I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
I just knew that it was a thing that he said by the cooler by the bar at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
I was like, "Be undeniable." And every time I'd go in to look at a joke, I'd see "Be undeniable." Every time I was about to get on stage, I'd see "Be undeniable."
Yeah.
And then one night, you know, maybe like 4 months later, I'm on stage, and a dude, we had to do 2 shows on like Tuesdays, and I went up like maybe 4th, and this dude went after me. I won't say his name out of respect. And then the next show, he said, "Hey, I got to get out of here early. I need to go before Bert." And they were like, "Okay." And he went before me, and he didn't go anywhere. He didn't have anywhere to go. Mm-hmm. And I got off stage, and he was backstage, and he was confused. And he was like, "Dude, when'd you get funny?" And I was like, because it's crazy. There was a lot of people that got famous before, like, well, definitely before me. And I think I was kind of looked at as like, maybe nothing will happen with the guy because I worked on Travel Channel.
Yeah.
So like, I know he's like funny, but like no one really watched my set. No one really gave a crap about following me. And this guy changed around so that he didn't have to follow me. And he was so confused.
Was he, so you killed it and then he came on and didn't do as good.
The first show.
Right.
And
so
then he was like,
"What the fuck? What happened?" So he wanted to see you, or why did he switch?
He said, "I don't want to follow Bert," in his head. So he said, "I got to get out of here early. Can I get up before Bert?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." And he was bigger comic than me at the time.
Yeah.
So, and I've never had a problem following people. Mm-hmm. I always say with stand up, I under promise, over deliver. But like, I've never had a problem following anyone. Mm-hmm. I'll follow anyone. It's never bothered me. I always think my energy will rechannel the room into what I'm doing.
Right.
And then he stuck around. He watched my set, and I did just as good on the second show. And he just came up really candid, and he was like, "When did you get funny?" Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know. I've been funny." He was like, "Dude, you are like," he's like, "Dude, you're telling stories."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." And I got in my car that night. I was like, "Wait, was I just undeniable?" Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, "Fuck, that's
Sounds
what that
like
means."
it. Yeah.
And then I started looking at like times when like there was no real excuse for anything. Like people would be like, "Oh, I got to get out early," and then or we'd do a big showcase and they put Bert up last, and then I'd be like, "Okay, I think I'm undeniable." And then right after that, Netflix called and they're like, "Yo, we want you to do 30-minute special," because they were doing 30-minute specials.
Yeah.
And in my head, I sat on my couch. I talked to everyone about it, like advice.
Yeah.
And I sat on my couch outdoors. I was smoking a cigar, and I was like, "No, I'm undeniable." I was like, "I'm going to do an hour." And I told them, I said, "I'll do an hour, but I'm not doing half an hour." And they were like, "Well, we're not offering an hour. Mm-hmm. Hours are different. We're offering you a half hour." And I was like, "Okay, I'm still going to pass. I'm going to do an hour." And 2 days later, they called and they're like, "All right, let's do an hour." And I was like, "Cool." And that was Secret Time.
Yeah. How did that one do?
Dude, I remember.
Killed it?
It was probably the biggest. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it was my best special, but I always think it's my best special. Mm-hmm. It's easily the best I've ever performed. I think that one show I did, the second show in Philadelphia. And I mean, I know that people would disagree with it, that are like my wife who's edited all my specials, but that show was just perfect. It was
How many do you record?
Interesting question. So for Secret Time, back in the day, you do one.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day. Then for The Machine, I did 2. and I killed it on both of them. There's no pressure. I just had great sets.
Yeah.
Secret Time, I did 2. And on the first show, I bombed. Like, I really bombed. The air conditioning went out. The generator went out. It was raining, so the crowd was wet. They didn't serve. Everything was a perfect storm.
For shit performance.
And I like at one point I stepped on the mic. So as I walked, the mic went away from my. So it sounded like I went. And the punchline happens here.
Oh no!
I got off stage and my wife's like supposed to take notes on what jokes I flubbed, and she goes, well, "I don't even know where to start. That was horrible." And my dad did something very interesting, which I've always wondered if it's accurate or not. My dad at a very young age told me, I love pressure. He's like, buddy, you're just the guy. You love pressure. When all the chips are on the table, that's when you want to be put in the game. When it's 2 outs, bases loaded, and you're down by 3, you're the kid.
Do you know what? You know that was a trick. You know that's a parent trick.
I know that now.
Yeah, yeah. So he was trying to give you that edge.
Yeah.
You probably didn't have it, but he knew you'd need it.
Dude, I said that to my dad, and he goes, I don't know, buddy. I was doing the best I could.
You just come up with what you're grasping at straws as a parent.
I don't think he wanted to see his son fail. And he was just like, all right, you love this. You love this.
Remember? You're great at this.
Yeah.
I am.
Dude, I walked out on that stage, and my wife goes, well, you've always loved pressure. Boy, you put all the chips out now. You better kill it. And I remember going on stage going, dude, this is where I thrive. In this moment, this is where I raise to the occasion. And I murdered that set. Like, out of all the sets I've ever done, that one time with everything, my first Netflix special, second show in Philly, I remember I got to a joke. The joke was, I took Isla, I had to go to parent-teacher conference, and I was hungover. And so I got a cup of coffee and 2 Diet Cokes, threw them in my vest pocket, got to school, sit down, and they're like, yo, we're going to have to hold Isla back. She's dyslexic. And I already killed my coffee, and I crack one of the Diet Cokes, take a sip, and it turns out it's a Coors Light. And the punchline to the joke was, it's a Coors Light. And then the crowd laughs, and I go, that's a game time decision, gentlemen. It's like a finger in your ass in an orgy. Do you pull away from it or do you push back into it? I pushed back into it and I killed that Coors Light. And the place went, ooh, and I went, oh, baby. I'm getting chill while I'm thinking about it. But I was like, so that was like a great set. Yeah.
Well, that's so because I know now, do some people record?
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah, because they do 2 shows a night for 2 nights and record all 4.
So after that one experience, I was like, I'll never do just 2 shows. I go, there's too much on the line.
Right.
I was
you
like,
fuck up one, you could easily fuck up the other one.
You can easily fuck up the other one.
Yeah.
So the next show I did 4. That was Hey Big Boy, and I still planned on. I still ended up fucking up shows. Like at one show, I had mustard on my jeans.
Oh God!
I know, and I was like, and we're watching it in the edit. It's a great show, but there's mustard on my clearly on my jeans.
God.
And I go, hey, how come no one told me? How did I get mustard on my jeans? And my wife's like, you wanted hot dogs. And so like you get
nobody told you?
No. And then so that show's shot, right?
Yeah.
What you don't know also out of shooting a special, this is inside the weeds, but that first show you ever shoot, that show's shot too. Because the audience hasn't, or the cameramen haven't seen your angles. They're filming it for the first time.
Right.
The director's filming it for the first time. So a lot of times that very first show you shoot is kind of a wash also.
Right.
So then I did 4 for Hey Big Boy. I did 4 for Razzle Dazzle, and then this one, which I've named but I haven't announced yet. I was like, I'm doing 6.
6.
I did 6, and I killed 6 shows, and it made it so difficult because
they're all good.
They're all good, and I'm like,
how do you get the best, or how do you choose the best? What
happened was I killed the first 4 shows, and then I was like, why am I doing 6? I was like, but it was the confidence to know you had 6.
Yeah.
That
takes the pressure off.
It takes the pressure off.
Yeah. But you thrive under pressure.
I thrive under pressure. Remember? So I said on those last 2 shows, I said, I'm going to just switch it up and fuck around on stage.
Yeah.
And I switched it up on the first show, and I told a joke I'd never really told. And everyone in the crew's like, whoa, hold on. Where's this been?
Yeah.
I was like, it's something I told a long time ago. I don't tell anymore. And they're like, do it again.
Yeah.
So I did it again, and I changed it up. And then I added something that like, I would never add. It was like a heartfelt story. and I was like, oh, cool. But I still I haven't looked at the edit yet. It's not due for a while, but I haven't looked at the edit. But now I do 6, and that's a Chappelle thing.
That's what he does.
I mean, I'm not going to speak for Dave only because it's irresponsible. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, on one of his, he shot like 9 shows and really got it. And I got lucky enough to party with him one night, and we were hanging out, having a good time. And I was like, yo, I'm irresponsible if I don't take an opportunity to talk to the greatest guy of my generation, possibly ever, to do it, and ask you some tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
It's like if you get to sit down with any of your bow hunting heroes and you're like, hey man, can I ask you like a couple questions?
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, I'm getting ready to shoot my special. And he just took over. He goes, how many shows? I said 6. He goes, perfect. I said, really? And he goes, here's what you got to do. And he ultimately laid down the groundwork for what I ended up doing on those last 2 shows.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And he's the greatest. He's like, I feel very blessed to just have a friendship with him.
Yeah.
Every step I take, I move my truth. Every time they tell me stop, I use. Every comment, hate that makes my feel. Gather up my energy and boom. I hear them talking, saying the way that I move is so reckless. That is a part of my mind I've been blessed with. Giving my blood, so I am relentless. My fault, they want someone to blame. They sent their hate, it fuels my pace. I am Roy Tough, I am the change, the few endure. Feeling like Cam Hanes.